And we can't afford to live like this anymore. You know, peep this. A lot of people are afraid to talk about situations like this. The reason why they're afraid to talk about situations like this is because they're too busy keeping up with the Joneses, right? They're too busy trying to put on a show that the bank account just can't account for, right? So things are very tight, and they're continuing to get tighter and tighter, you know, as the days go by, as the months go by, as the years go by. We are in a situation where, you know, saving isn't enough anymore. You know, like I said on my other video before, prior to this, is that, you know, the average person in America doesn't even have $500 to their name. You know, that speaks in volume. That speaks in volume. You don't have an extra $500 to your name. And I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. You can be getting ready for work and wake up and go out to your car, and someone just, you know, bust all your windows trying to, you know, steal something out of your car. And that's not a far-fetched idea, because most people are doing a lot of stealing because they need a way to try to make some type of ends. You know what I'm saying? And am I saying that is the result that you should be doing in order to, you know, get ahead? No. Or at least don't do it to somebody that, you know, that's trying to make it. You know, like somebody that just got about the same as you. You know, if you go to the, you know, the higher ups, you know, the oligarchs, and you busting it, man, I don't give a shit. You know, but yeah, don't do that to, you know, don't do that to people that are trying to get by just like you. You know, that shit is crazy. You know, I see that on the news all the time. You know, shit, that shit has even happened to me, you know, and my wife as well. We've walked out plenty of times here, and, you know, busting windows for people trying to, you know, dig in to grab some shit that ain't even there. How many times have you guys went through that situation? You walk out and it's, you know, not something that just happens like a flat tire or something, which that also costs as well. But, you know, you walk out and somebody just abused your shit, and now you got to go ahead and pay an extra $200 to $300 to fix it, because, you know, insurance isn't going to cover shit like that, in which you pay for insurance to cover accidents. You see what I'm saying? And when I talk about these subjects, man, I try to give the most logical point of view as I can. You know what I'm saying? I believe that people are of this American mindset, this prison mindset, that if you talk about things like this, then you are essentially against America, or you're against the country, men of the place where you live. And that's far from the furthest truth, because at the end of the day, everybody's different. So they're going to speak upon, you know, topics that, you know, that everybody isn't going to agree with. You know what I'm saying? And to touch on that, you know, I've been getting a lot of comments, you know, based on, you know, my recent videos, you know, when it comes to contemplating on at some point leaving this joint, getting out of America, because what is it doing? Like, it's not doing shit for me. What is it doing for me? I mean, when you talk about protection, man, did you guys just hear what happened in Shreveport, Louisiana? Protection? They're not even worried about you. They're worried about what's going on the Hormuz Straits. That's what they worried about. So protect. No, it's not that. You know, is it, I'm able to, you know, fill up my gas tank and be about my business and not have to worry about shit? It can't be that. what about a place to live? Like, and not having to stress out about it and grow gray hairs behind, keeping up with rent and mortgage. It can't be that. So it just seems like people are just in this, like I said, in this American mindset, this prison mindset that you just can't go against the shit that's actually happening. You got to sit there and you got to suck it up and you got to take accountability and look in the mirror. And that's what I get all the time in the comments. Look in the mirror. You're the reason why. You're the reason why that. No, man, it ain't me. I do what I got to do. I contribute to society here. So it can't be me. But like I said, we always talk about, the little guy, right? You never talk about the ones that are actually holding all the damn power. That's what I have the differences between me and you watching this video, the ones that always go into my comments and feel like it's necessary to insult me. That's where we have this difference. Because you never talk about, like I said, the ones that are able to control the narrative of America. Because they're the ones that, at the end of the day, is going to get the ultimate decision, period. So stop saying that shit. Stop saying, oh, look in the mirror, man. You the guys are crazy, man. I read some of those comments, man, and I just sit back and I just snicker, bro. I just laugh because those are the prison mindsets that I'm talking about. Like you've been pledging allegiance to the flag for so long, you still pledging. And like I said, what is it doing for you? What is it doing for you? Yeah, you can't really specify that because the things that we talk about are mostly shit that's on the decline. And I know some of you guys out there are probably saying, well, maybe you should talk about things that are more positive, man. Keep that, that positive energy, motivational speeches. And I don't do that. I don't do that. If you want, like I said, if you want all of that, man, you can go watch Barney, bro. You could go watch Barney, man. Everybody get together and hug and move side to side because it's not like that. And if I was talking to you guys that way and telling you, oh, you could do this, oh, you could do that, oh, you could do this, press like, and I wouldn't be doing you guys any justice. Because what I'm doing is having you look at the big picture. We've all been hypnotized to, believing that this is the ultimate race. Like the more you could buy, the more you can consume here really determines your social class. Because there are social classes here where people feel like they are better than the next person because they may, make a certain amount every hour. They may be a certain, influencer over here. So it's a social class here, right? It's a big consumer-based social class. So if you're not making a certain amount, then, no one like supposedly is supposed to care about the type of shit that you talk about. But I just believe that you should keep it real, man. You should be able to talk about the things that really affect your day to day. You know what I'm saying? And I don't believe that you should weave around it and sit there and come up with false solutions that isn't gonna work. You just gassing people. You just gaslighting. You think that it's going to do something, but in reality, all you gotta do is just go and look and see if it's actually working. Because based on the numbers, based on the statistics, I'm the one that know what I'm talking about. Where are your statistics at? Where is your numbers at? that say if you listen to a bunch of motivational speeches that, you know, you're going to be, you know, financially wealthy, that you're not going to struggle. How many different videos do you have to watch of that shit? It's all distractions. You need to have that shit built in and internally know who you are. Because a lot of these people are just doing things on a monetary basis, man. And a lot of people tell you to go and watch these things and be in this you know, this positive, you know, frame and shit like that, so you can ignore the things that actually transpires. That's no different than taking drugs. Do you know why people take drugs, man? Do you know why they take drugs? It's not just so they can, you know, be able to fit into a social environment, but people take drugs because they want to forget about the hard times. They want to be obsolete to the world without actually being obsolete, if you know what I mean. So, miss me with all that, man. Every time I'm dropping videos, man, it's gonna be the truth. You know, we're gonna keep it real, man. And at some point, you know, we may have to hightail out of here. Right? And I know some of you guys are saying, well, you know, you're a coward, you know, you run away, you decide that you're gonna leave, you know, you're not American and this, that, and the third. Look, like I said, I've been putting in, you know, my work here, man. I'm getting up in age, and I ain't got shit to prove to nobody. I don't have to fit into nobody's social class. I don't have to pretend that I'm making this or making that. You know what I'm saying? I leave that to all of the motherfucking liars that are on here. I'll leave that to them. Cause like I said, I got the numbers, bro. So I know what's really going on. I know who's lying. I know who's fronting. I know when politicians want to switch a narrative, boom, all the way to this side, so that way you can leave this distraction and then go to the next one. It's very plain and simple to see. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'm getting my comments, you know, lit up, bro. Like you keep, you know, calling me, you know, stupid and, you know, dumb, and, you know, somebody said something about my intellectual capabilities. Like you don't even fucking know. You don't even want to go there. Cause I'm conscious within. I've learned a lot over time. I'm conscious within, so I know when I'm being played. A lot of people still can't see that shit, man. You know, you gotta stop saluting. You gotta stop pledging allegiance to this shit. Because at the end of the day, when all of this stuff continues to drop down, in which it will, all you're gonna have left to say is how well you was an American. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, if the people that are debating about, you know, at some point maybe looking elsewhere, you know, and I'm not upset with you, and you shouldn't let other people determine, you know, those decisions. You should be able to, you know, take a step back, analyze each, you know, avenue. I think that anybody taking off a road should kind of look and study, you know, the place that they're looking at. Go to visit, stay there, see how it is, understand the culture, because every country has a specific culture. You just can't bring your U.S. American behavior over there and thinking that you about to be running shit. Thinking that just because you got a few dollars and your dollar can stretch a little bit longer, that, you know, you're gonna be acting crazy with these different people and cultures. It's just not gonna happen. You know, I've been studying the same way, you know, with people that actually live there and broadcast from there every single day. So it's like, yeah, you got to be able to you know, go over there, man, experience how it is, you know, really enjoy, get a, you know, get a real feel, man, get a peace of mind, get the, you know, the whole consumerism American way out of your system so you can actually embrace, you know, what it's like. That way you can get more of a, you know, authentic feel. I'm just talking for people that want to get a peace of mind at some point, because like I said, all you're going to keep doing is, you know, having to buy this, having to buy that, having to buy this, having to buy that, trying to catch up with this bill, trying to catch up with that bill, trying to save, trying to save, trying to save, trying to save. That shit is never fucking ending. You let me know when that shit gonna end. When is that supposed to end? At what point? You know what I'm saying? So don't let nobody determine that decision. If that's something that you're interested in, you should really, you know, be serious, do your research, and move forward, man. But I appreciate you guys checking out this video. My name is St. Nicholas Brand. Until next time, peace.